Okay. Okay.
Yo,
Jake, what's
what's
going
up,
on?
guys? Can everybody hear me okay? Because the reception's kind of jacked up in my room. So, okay,
Yeah,
good.
we
All
can
right,
hear
I'm
you.
going to try not to move. I'm going to stand right here then.
Yeah, we are on a hard 1 hour and 50 minute
Okay,
schedule.
all right,
That's what I'm gonna start doing it from now on since I'm uploading to YouTube.
gotcha.
So we won't get to rambling, just rambling and rambling and
Yeah,
rambling. It ends how's
it's
Phoenix,
been good,
Gerald?
man.
I mean
It's the buzz has been really good for the fight this week. Everywhere that Estrada and Chocolatito been going, people like they can't walk 5 feet without being stopped to ask for a picture. And it's not even just like people who are here for it's just like random like walking down the street, people just like running up to them. So a lot of people are excited. It sounds, I know all the time promoters talk about, oh, it's gonna be like 10,000, 15,000. Just looking at the ticket manifest, it does look like it's going to be pretty close to a hard 10,000 in the arena. It's going to be all the floor seats are sold. A lot of the lower bowl seats are sold. So it's been really hyped for this show. So I really can't wait. Even Thursday, like for a hardcore fight fan like me, like just seeing the dais on Thursday, it's like I pretty much enjoy at least 4 or 5 of the fights on the card. So this is one I've had this date circled for quite a while. I guess for often as this fight has been scheduled, I've had 3 dates, circled on the calendar. But it's an honor for me to be here this weekend.
all right, you hearing any rumors?
About a little more specific.
Anything? I mean, when boxing
Yeah,
people get together, everybody got
yeah. Well, the
a
good
rumor
thing
about
here is
this or
like
that.
Julio Cesar Martinez is in the co-feature. He's been with Eddie Reynoso for this whole camp. So with that, obviously comes Canelo news. There is a. It always seems like we talk about this world tour and he just winds up back in Vegas, but this one really feels like if he's going to fight John Ryder, it could wind up in England. So that's been the heavy talk. That maybe they send Julio Cesar Martinez over there. Our friend Sonny Edwards might get that shot. He might get a home game for that one. Could even be a big double header over there in the UK. Because if Canelo's going to go over there, it's like you got to go in big. It might be his only time he ever fights in the UK. So they're going to want to make it a big event. So John Ryder obviously in the right place at the right time. With the fight, wasn't as spectacular with Zach Parker, but he was the winner by technical knockout. He's the interim champ, and Canelo's mandatory. He is next in the rotation. So the fight does make sense. As much as we want to see him fight, David Benavidez, who probably is the most deserving. We want to see him fight David Morrell. It does seem like John Ryder will be next, probably May, and it could very well be in the UK. There's been heavy buzz about that.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, if you're gonna fight John Ryder, yeah, you might as well fight him in the UK.
Yeah, and I don't believe that PBC has. I don't know if they're gonna do a May date in Vegas, but I don't believe they've released that hold yet. So that could factor into Canelo having to hit the road for that weekend. So maybe they always say it could be England, could be Mexico, could be US, but I'd like to me I like to see that like when a world champion actually goes around the world and defends his title. That's what the sport used to have. So we kind of got away from that. When HBO was able to bring all the big fights here in the
Well,
90s.
they used to have it because dictators were stealing money
Yeah,
from the coffers
that is
and putting up big money for shows.
right.
That's why they used to
Yeah,
have it.
that is
It ain't like everything was above board with them fights.
that is true.
Matter of fact, the IMF has specified
Right.
that those monies cannot be used to put on sporting
Yeah,
events anymore.
exactly.
The IMF has specified that to third world countries
Right.
where these dictators used to steal money to put on shows. But I mean, I don't think he would have fought Ryder in Vegas anyway.
No.
To be honest with you.
Yeah, I think they realized that. Like, it's just the way he's been trending. It's just not the same. I don't think that fight would have done well. It would have been just another Cinco de Mayo fight in Vegas. So,
Yeah,
it would have been
worse
bigger
the
than
Joker
other
fight.
fights. But for what Canelo demands, especially pay wise, yeah, that's why not take him over there where he just kind of reset.
Yes, I mean, yeah, cool.
Yeah, so
That way, hopefully PBC does put on something. I would like Ryan versus Tank. Excuse me, in Vegas, Cinco de Mayo day.
Yeah, so I know like April 15th was the date that keeps getting floated around. A lot of people keep saying like, well, if like I said, we do expect Tank, Broadway, cover your ears, but we all expect Tank to beat Hector Luis Garcia. We expect Ryan to beat whoever they're gonna, whatever opponent they're gonna allow him to get in the ring with in January, and then they move on. But then the issue is like if the prosecutor and the judge in Baltimore is going to try to make an example out of Tank. He's like he and his legal team have done everything they can to try to resolve that issue without avoiding jail time. But I can't say it's going to be unfortunate. He's in the situation he's in. I don't know what happened. It's all allegedly what happened, but that's the trick. It's like what comes of that court case, and then where they can move on with that fight. So that it might have to take place sooner than Cinco de Mayo if anything comes out of it where he can't avoid jail time. But I don't know if Cinco de Mayo is just too far out for that fight. But that would be a massive, massive blockbuster fight. I think that would be. I don't know. Call me crazy. I think that would be bigger than like if Wilder and Ruiz fought on Cinco de Mayo.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
yeah, one other rumor, I might care about this more than others, but I keep asking. Obviously, I'm the Amanda Serrano resident, but I was asking about Amanda Serrano's fight with Erica Cruz. I talked to Alicia Baumgartner yesterday. It does sound like they're both going to be back early. They're talking about doing those two fights together. I don't know if Choi is going to be available to go through with the Undisputed. There's still negotiations for that. But if both those fights happen, they could wind up on the same card in New York early next year.
Ooh, Choi and
Baumgartner Choi for the Undisputed at 130, and then Amanda Serrano and Eric Cruz for the Undisputed at 126.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I seen Baumgartner was out there.
Yeah. Yes, I had a really good conversation with her yesterday. We talked about that. Talked about her, being at Ford Field for Thanksgiving. So with all her belts, hopefully getting Tony Harris in the fight. Talking about how she wants a manager's cut if it happens, if he gets the fight from Dora. So yeah, really good conversation with her. So.
She was joking about that, right?
About her manager's cut. Yeah, she was. Yeah.
Okay. But so the winner of this fight, Chocolatito, and hold on, let's go to the undercard first. Who's on the undercard?
Yeah, so Julio Cesar Martinez is fighting Samuel Carmona, a Spanish. He represented Spain in the 2016 Olympics. He replaced Nick Williams Arroyo, who he wound up pulling out due to a neck and back injury, which was, by my count, at least the fourth postponement in the series. Martinez is responsible for 3 of those postponements, and then this one, Arroyo, he wasn't able to fight. And I'm kind of hoping the WBC just scraps it all together. It's like they got in the ring last year. They fought, it was thrilling 2 rounds. They both hit the deck. It looked like Martinez was on his way to a knockout, and then Arroyo decided he just couldn't fight anymore, and it was a no contest. And it's been a struggle to get him back in the ring. It's just not that important of a fight to where it has to happen. So hopefully, Martinez, he looked really good. I was shocked when I heard that he was a full pound under the flyweight limit, because that was the big joke. It was like, all right, how many weigh-ins is it going to take for Martinez to make weight this time? But he was 111 yesterday for the 112 fight. So I expect him to look spectacular this weekend. Carmona is good. He's a nice boxer, but I just don't. I think he's not one of those like advanced amateurs who was like, rushed, in the pros to title contention. I mean, that needs to rush to the title picture. It just feels like he's a prospect that's being thrust into a title shot. So I think Martinez is going to look spectacular in this fight. He did the full camp with Eddie Reynoso. He talked about like he had like a really bad relationship with his last trainer. He was abusive physically, he stole from him, and he said he just feels like refreshed, being back with Eddie. So I think he's going to look great. And then there's stablemate Joselito Velasquez. He's fighting former flyweight champ Christopher Rosales. That's going to be the opening fight of the DAZN show. So the crowd yesterday, that's another, Mexico and Nicaragua fight. The crowd was like just as hyped for that one as they were for the main event. So it was, very festive weigh-in yesterday. So yeah, I'm just, like I said, those 3 fights in particular, I'm really, really looking forward to tonight. Then Diego Pacheco is also on the card, a stablemate of David Benavidez.
What about the guy that's supposedly fighting Felix Cash?
Yeah, Austin Amo Williams. I had a good conversation with him. So he's the final bout on the Before the Bell telecast. He's fighting El Vikingo. What's his name? Simon Matson. He's based out of Cancun, I think. But yeah, he's the final fight. Once he gets past that, he's going to fight Felix Cash, and it's going to be, I don't know how high they're going to get ranked, but some sort of WBA eliminator, I believe, because he's talking about he wants to fight for a middleweight belt next year. So he feels like that everyone, he sees what we see. The division is just, stuck in neutral. Someone needs to take over. He sees an opportunity there to get to at least one of those champs and win a belt. So, which, anyone wanting to fight for middleweight title is good in light of the news that we just had, with Jaime Munguia. We all knew it was coming, but he passed on the fight with Janibek. He says he's going to hold out for Charlo and Golovkin. And like I said, unless Zanfer and Golden Boy have that Charlo fight in that back pocket, and that's who, in fact, is Charlo is fighting next, I feel like I've been the last one on that Jaime Munguia bandwagon. I just don't know what their next move is. But
I jumped off yesterday also.
Okay. I was wondering why the ride felt a little bit lighter, but I just don't know how to defend it anymore. It's just it's baffling. We saw it coming, but it's like you, he knows that Golovkin is tied up. That if he gets to, I mean, look, I get fighting Gennady Golovkin is a payday, whether or not he has a belt, but you can't say I want to be undisputed middleweight champion, knowing that if you fight Golovkin, unless the sanctioning bodies break their rules, which they could very well do, he's got two mandatories lined up. So he's got to fight Falcao next. Everyone just seems to be ignoring that. Then he still has to fight Lara. If he doesn't fight Lara, Lara is just going to be upgraded to, WBA middleweight champ. I mean, if he's ducking Janabek, what makes you think he's going to go fight Lara? And I hate to use the word duck, but this is the second time this year that he's avoided a fight with Janabek. But that Zanfer and Golden Boy and his behalf.
Winnable fights too. He's avoiding fights would be 50-50 or 60-40. I don't understand why. So is it Golden Boy? Is it himself? Is it Zanfer?
It sounds to me like it's Zanfer. I feel it. Look, Fernando, I like Fernando Beltran, but it's just I don't know if they just want to just keep, they feel like they could just keep squeezing out one more zone date. Golden Boy, I think, is just kind of, they won't admit it. To me, it just feels like they're kind of falling on the sword, but they're even getting annoyed by it. It's like, I know they want to keep these guys because they just, they're going into next year with the zone. They got to fill up these dates. They already got Ryan Garcia, who, after January, he's going to be fighting Tank on Showtime pay-per-view. So, they got to keep Virgil Ortiz and Jaime Munguia, but they also need to get them in big fights. It's like they didn't, the talk was always that, Matchroom was the lead on the zone, but Golden Boy was the one for a while who was putting on the better shows. But that trend has really changed. Their shows have been like, it's been, I guess, some fights have been good for the hardcore fans, but they just didn't have a good year this year. And it can't be more of the same next year. Fortunately, we got guys like Virgil Ortiz, who is looking into a big fight. So if that lands on the zone, that's major for them. But as far as my Munguia goes, I don't know what the plan is. And it's like, I kind of just want to stop asking because I just feel like, all that's going to come back is a lie.
Yeah, it's very strange behavior from Munguia. I mean, but I remember you had told us that Munguia had a fight scheduled in November.
Yep.
But they weren't sure if they had committed to the fight. The zone had committed to the fight or not. So right. I mean, it seems like even the zone is getting tired of it. I mean, do they keep paying for these opponents, or do they put their foot down and say, "Hey, you got to fight somebody"?
Yeah, it's funny. Like I was kind of arguing with our good friend Rick Glazer the other day. Like he claimed that he tweeted something out. I know everyone knows to ignore him, but that the deal is going to end. Golden Boy is going to go shop around and whatever. And it's nothing like that. It's like the fight that Golden Boy just announced. Like that fulfilled their end. It's not that they had to get that out of the zone. It's like they had that date that they had to fulfill. So that was originally supposed to be Virgil Ortiz, but once he went in negotiations with Stanionis, like he was no longer going to headline that December 17th show. So it's basically like a Golden Boy fight night show that's going to be on what should have been a premium date. So they're the ones who have to step up in 2023. It's not, at this point, it's not the zone.
Yeah, so you think they're going to keep paying for these fights, these Munguia fights against nobody? I think he fought in the gymnasium in his last fight. You can see the basketball. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Arena Astros. Yep. I think as these fights come up, there's going to be some hard conversations about who they're going to fight. Now, what's weird though is supposedly this all began with Munguia he supposedly reached a deal with John Ryder. He was the one who was supposed to fight him first, but I guess whatever they agreed to, it just wasn't in that budget for it to be on a Golden Boy show. So I just didn't understand that part of the conversation because that's how we actually got to William Zepeda and Jojo Diaz. So I just don't know. Again, it's like it goes all the way back to Munguia once wanted to fight Golovkin. Now he's avoiding all these middleweight guys. He's still holding out for that fight 5 years later. And then he went from wanting to fight John Ryder in October to fighting this guy that he just fought, Gonzalo Correa. And, like I said, if he's waiting out Charlo and Golovkin and neither one of them next, I'm looking down the list. I can't imagine who's going to be next for him. But, the well is dry on the Golden Boy side. You can't keep digging up these guys that they had been.
Yeah. When you mentioned Virgil Ortiz, what's the progress with him and Stanionis?
It's everything from what I'm hearing, everything is trending in the right direction. That we are going to see that fight, hopefully within the deadline. I don't know if it's going to be Golden Boy's first show of 2023, but it looks like possibly January, February that fight will happen. So it shouldn't go to a purse bid. It seems like there's been really productive conversations, and both sides obviously want the fight. So it does look like it's going to happen straight away.
Okay. And what about Ryan's possible opponent? I heard it was Gesta.
Yeah, Masito Hesta. So it was funny. The name Jorge Linares kept coming up, but they're like, oh, because he has a fight in Russia, I believe, next weekend. And the people who said that he was supposed to be faced, like, oh, well, if he comes out of that unscathed, I'm like, Jorge Linares never comes out of a fight unscathed. There's no way in hell if he's fighting next week that he's fighting anybody in January, much less Ryan. He would have to pull out of that fight in order to get the Ryan fight. So, and that's why I kind of joked. It's like it was going to be the lowest level opponent that the zone would accept, because it can't be a complete walkover, especially with Tank. I know people are arguing, oh, Hector Garcia's coming up in weight, but he still, had a hell of a run in 2022, and he is, physically the bigger fighter than Tank, going into that one. So I kind of like that fight. It's like Tank could have taken a much easier opponent for that fight. So Ryan he can't get away with just fighting someone who's going to knock out in 90 seconds.
I agree.
Yeah, and especially in light of this conversation, there's going to be greater quality control going into these Golden Boy shows for 2023. You can't come right out the gate with Ryan fighting a walkover. So that's like I said, it's a fight that Ryan should easily win. It's not, for knowing what's up ahead, I don't think it's a terrible fight.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Now, what about Shakur Stevenson and William Zepeda?
I have a feeling that Zepeda absolutely wants to fight. He's the one who called for it. Again, this goes back to, will Golden Boy deliver him? Will Zanfer deliver him? It's, once the more people that seem to get involved in this, that's when the problems come in. So I have a feeling that it's going to go down to, they're going to wind up passing on that one. And then I think Kambosos is next. I don't see him coming off 2 losses.
Zepeda is with Zanfer,
I know he's fought on Zanfer shows. I don't know if Zanfer has any influence in who he fights next, though. But from what I've heard, I know it's just been kind of stuck. It's like the fight was offered, and then I don't know if they're going to try to force it to go to a purse bid or whatever, and then get Golden Boy to commit to that fight. But it just, for Zepeda to go online and say, give me the contract, I'm going to sign it. It's like, well, Shakur's team's like, all right, well, we want to fight you next. What's up? And they haven't heard anything back. So,
well, he claimed that he hadn't seen a contract.
I saw that. I don't believe that.
And it's
very possible
he physically forever.
Yeah, it's very possible that William Zepeda himself has not seen a contract, but the people negotiating on his behalf, the fight has been offered. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, hopefully they can pull something together.
Yeah, it's again like when your fighter is calling for the fight, you can't just say, "Oh well, fuck it, we got." It's like, what else do you have lined up for him? So, I know Golden Boy has a lot of fighters at that weight. We know he's not fighting Ryan in January, so Shakur is the biggest fight out there.
Yeah, and Golden Boy is in a peculiar place where we have some good A-side fighters, but they don't have any B-sides, decent B-sides to give to them.
Yeah, exactly.
And bigger networks are trying to come in and offer more money to take their fighters elsewhere.
Right. So yeah, again, so like if the Zepeda fight doesn't happen, Kambosos is next in line. I coming off 2 losses to Devin Haney, I think he's going to take something else in between. I'll give him all the credit in the world if he goes straight into a Shakur fight, but I think it's going to go down to the next guy in line, the one that just beat Nakatani in November. So, and there, Mr. Honda had said that guy was absolutely willing to take the fight. That it's a career best payday for him. And he kind of likes his chances against Shakur. I don't, but it's a risk that he's willing to take.
Who?
Yoshino, the one that just beat Nakatani on that. They had that show in Japan with Kenshiro Taraji and Kayaguchi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Speaking of going down the line, they went down the line in the IBF and got boosted opponent yet?
They do. Nobody's gonna like it. It's not a great opponent at all.
Is it for the IBF?
But it's not my story.
For the IBF intern title?
That has to be. I think that's going to be the deciding factor on whether or not they can finalize that fight. But Boots has the case because he is the mandatory. Spencer's not made a mandatory with the IBF since 2018, and that's the belt he's had the longest. So Boots has a very strong case for that. He should have been next, regardless of what the WBA. Obviously, Stanionis should have gone before Keith Thurman, and he's not getting it next. The WBC was the last mandatory made, so I don't see why Boots would be denied the opportunity to fight for the IBF interim. And if that is the case, then unfortunately, you have to go down the line. And the IBF, they're the ones that follow the rules, but they're also the ones with the crappiest mandatories. When you look, and Boots is 1. Virgil Ortiz is next. He's fighting for the WBA. Karen Chikazian, I'm sorry, next. Yeah, and then Keith Thurman is after him. He's supposedly fighting Spence once that get announced. So it's either Chikadzian or Ivan Golub. Ivanesian is fighting Terrence Crawford. So it's slim pickings, but they're going to be following the IBF's rules if they get that interim title shot. So, but I even if it's not that guy and they just wind up fighting like an interim fight, not an interim title fight, but just staying busy waiting for a bigger one. He's one of 4 names that I've heard, and none of them have just been spectacular. So,
okay, and with this IBF interim title, that would in theory remove Boots from the WBO rankings.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, once you fight for any sanctioned body's interim title, that's it. You're out the mix.
So Virgil Ortiz and Stanionis would remove Virgil from the rankings.
Yes, right. If assuming he wins,
but he would be removed.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have any idea when they're going to start announcing the fights for the Tank undercard?
Monday they're having a press conference, and that's going to put the fight 1 month out. I'd have to imagine that at least Boots' fight would be announced by then.
Okay, on Monday.
Yes. Yeah, it's a live press. It's not like a virtual press conference. It's an actual live press conference in DC. So,
you going?
I am not going. I'm not sure. I don't know if Cliff Road will be going. I know he's lives relatively close by, but he's also out here in Phoenix. So, but no, I will not be there. So,
you didn't make it to Atlanta. You didn't make it to Atlanta for Brian Norman's signing, did you?
No, I didn't. Yep. No, so I was glad to see he and Ron Polanco, they both signed with Top Ranked. I believe they announced that was yesterday or Thursday. They just announced that. So
it was yesterday.
We all saw it coming. Yeah. So good move for Brian Norman. They're both going to be on the January 14th show that Top Ranked just announced. So yeah, I think this is a really, really good move for Brian Norman.
He's at welterweight, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How long does he plan on staying there?
What's that?
How long does he plan on staying there?
He said he wants to stay until he wins a title. So, and these belts, like I said, obviously they'll become available once Spence moves up. So I don't think he's going to be fighting Spence like anytime next year. But, it's very possible Spence has 1, maybe 2 fights left at 147, and then he's off to 154 and, work your way towards that. Brian Norman, I do think I would like to see him develop for another year and then fight for a title like maybe 2024, just because, it's been a while since he's been in the ring. So he's at, I know he's wanted to get in the ring and there's been issues with, getting him a date. Now he finally has one. So I would like to see him fight at least 2 or 3 more times before, being advanced to that level.
Yeah, I don't think he fought all 2022.
So in 2 years, we'll be listening to Boots and Stuck and Brian Norman.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
Okay.
Yeah. But the assuring thing is that at least we know the welterweight division is in good hands. So, those guys, Virgil Ortiz, there's a lot of young talent that's ready to replace. Like if Spence is ready to move up to 154. I don't know if Bud's going anywhere, but, obviously we don't know what the plan is there. But, we do need younger guys to come up. And that, welterweight has a nice young crop of talent that's, ready to take over.
True. But I don't understand going where there's no welterweights at.
Oh, with Brian Norman, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that, but you just played a sanctioned body game at that point.
Yeah. Any stories you wrote this week?
I'm trying. Most of the show, a lot of the stories I wrote have been about the show, and a lot of them have not quite posted yet, though. So it's been a frustrating week on that front. Like I said, I was just trying to get some, just some scoops from Eddie. We got a little bit more clarity on the light heavyweight division. I know Callum Smith, I wrote that he's going to be coming back March 11th. He said that they're serious about doing the Buatsi fight, that Buatsi could either fight Callum Smith or Dimitri Bivol, or, Smith could eventually get to Bivol. But he wants to get him back March 11th in Liverpool. He doesn't want him, just stuck waiting out for Beterbiev and Yard. He wants to get him, in the ring, keep him active. And, they're serious about making Undisputed at 175. He's very serious about creating somewhat of a tournament at 112 to create an undisputed champion there. We know Bam Rodriguez is here. He's fighting for the vacant WBO title against Christian Gonzalez. Eddie told me that was probably going to be late March. I mentioned that they want to do Julio Cesar Martinez if he wins tonight, fighting Sonny Edwards at some point. Bam would then fight the Artem Dalakian if he wins his next fight in January. And by the end of the year, they would like to have an undisputed flyweight champion. That was the motivation, and Bam moving down in weight. So that's, we wanted to see Bam do all that at 115, but it looks like it could be just as exciting if he's able to do it at 112, because those are, all four of those, well, not Martinez, but Sonny Edwards, Delakian, and Bam are all undefeated. So,
all right. You said Callum Smith might be fighting Buatsi, right?
They want to fight Buatsi. This is the way Eddie put it to me, that Buatsi's name, that's the fight they would like to do. That fight has always been talked about, but what I was always told is that the fight would only happen if there's a title at stake. Obviously, that wouldn't be the case if they fight in March. So I even asked him, like, well, would Buatsi, if he wants to fight for a belt, would he just wind up fighting Bivol instead? Because he is next in line at the WBA. So, why not get that out of the way for Bivol, if he wants to go fight for Undisputed? So I didn't get quite a clear answer on that, but it does seem like there's some mix and match where it's either going to be Callum Smith and Buatsi, or Buatsi, Bivol. I even suggested, why not just have Callum Smith and Bivol fight? But it's going to be Callum Smith March 11th. And he wanted him to get a hometown headliner as well. So if it's going to be Buatsi, it's not going to be Buatsi. It's going to be someone relevant within the WBC rankings to make sure he maintains that mandatory position.
So you realistically, we're looking at Undisputed possibly in 2024.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, because like I said, better be if there's just too many people online. So Jean Pascal, that was another story. But Jean Pascal is going to be he was supposed to be fighting in Toronto. Now it's going to be at Place Bell in Laval, in his hometown of Laval, Canada, February 9th. So when he beats that guy, Michael Eifert, however you pronounce it, he'll be the IBF mandatory. So yeah, better be if he's just, again, when you only fight once a year, these mandatories just stack up in a hurry. So, unless these guys just start fighting each other, or if Bivol doesn't wind fighting up Canelo, maybe he could pick off one of those two guys just to kind of, close that gap. But again, it's still realistically, we're talking about 2024, maybe early 2024 for Undisputed. But yeah, I don't see it happening next year.
Yeah, I don't either. Plus, Bivol got a rematch Canelo, right?
Right. So yeah, Canelo, if he fights John Ryder, whether it's UK or Mexico, then the way it was told to me is like, it's not guaranteed that he would fight Bivol next. Like, there's still things to negotiate. Bivol, rightfully so, is going to want a lot more money for the rematch. He's going to have a lot more say. He's not.
He ain't fighting Bivol. I don't even know why people just keep going around. Bro, this fight is not happening.
I know.
There's no way in hell he get back in the ring with Bivol. I don't advise him to either.
Yeah, and I asked. So Jose Benavidez trains Diego Pacheco. I even asked him about that. I said, if we don't see Canelo Bivol, and he just like kind of put his hand up. He's like, I don't know if my son is ever going to get to fight Canelo. He's like, if we get it, great, but it's not a fight that he's going to just, keep beating the drums for, knowing that if it's, he doesn't want to waste that energy. They want to focus on Caleb Plant. He had a lot of interesting things to say about that fight. So including whether or not Caleb Plant shows up, which kind of surprised me. I mean, that was kind of been the buzz this week. I don't know if it's just because a lot of people that have been around the Benavidez family, but they're all, they keep saying it's like, we're kind of waiting for him to pull out. So,
I don't think he will pull out of the fight.
It surprised me to hear. That was like a narrative I've never heard up until I landed here and just started talking to people Thursday morning. I personally don't see that. Caleb he pushed for that fight. I know he's demanding a lot, but he's still nobody wants to feel like the B-side in that fight. So he's going to have his say in the terms that he wants. But the way Jose Senior made it seem like he just said Caleb's list of demands were ridiculous. So he actually gave me a really good line. I'm going to have the headline about it. But the gist of it is that he's, they want to fight anywhere where he could just, have all the space in the world to run around and just avoid any contact with David. But it's just,
Let him get the demands, then you go in there and beat him, and now you make the demands.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and I agree with Jose Senior that they need to just stop worried about Canelo. Let Canelo do his thing. Whatever he's doing, he's going to do, and you just got to focus on your career. You got to put him in a position where he has to circle back to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Where the market and the fans demand the fight.
Yeah, and the beauty is David has that path. Like, let's say he does beat Caleb next. He still has Charlo. He still has Morrell. Like, if he can get those guys. Like, PBC has stock in guys that they can throw at him. And he's young enough to where he can become that star. And then where Canelo has to look around and say, fuck, now I got to fight this guy.
Yes.
Or just give it all up and let David take over the division.
Because Canelo's at a point in his career where now he's the old head. Right. The young guys coming up. For most of his career, he's been the young guy.
Yeah.
And everybody established has been the old head, but now Canelo's the old head. And
yeah, it sure is.
Guys coming up.
Especially with guys like Benavidez and Morrell. So, and then not making any fans with his mess with Lionel Messi that kind of fell flat.
Yeah, I have no idea what that was about. I thought it was all a joke.
Yeah,
Canelo's just putting on for his country. I have no idea what that's about.
Yeah, it's funny that question even got asked to Juan Estrada, and he even said like, Canelo. So like he equated, he's like, you get in the locker room, the first thing you do is you take off your clothes. He's like, it's after like for fighters, it's a grueling fight. You just throw your clothes on the floor. He's like, and that's what Canelo saw with Messi, and he saw something that just didn't happen. And then like we were kind of talking about this because in boxing, like oh my God, Canelo said something. That's like there's a slight chance that Lionel Messi probably didn't even know who Canelo is. And even if he did, nobody in that world cares about Canelo the way we do. Like Lionel Messi is literally one of the most popular people in the world. Canelo is making his way on that list, but it's just not. Canelo. This is a rare instance where Canelo was shooting upwards. So I don't think
Lionel Messi. You know who Lionel Messi is? I ain't never seen you talk about no soccer, Jake. You know who Lionel Messi is?
Yeah, I have not watched one World Cup game. That's the only thing.
Well, I watched at least one.
I have not watched any of it this year. The only thing I know was that situation and that USA has only scored 2 goals in 4 games, which is the reason why I don't watch it.
How tall is Lionel Messi?
I have no clue.
Any like Chocolatito size? You probably think he would be on the fight card if he was in Arizona right now. You do not know who Lionel Messi is. Jake.
Right.
Stop. Yeah. Because I don't do that. I walk right past him.
Yeah.
Messi and Canelo are like the same size.
Yeah, Lionel Messi is 5'7". I just looked it up. Yep.
Okay, see. Well, maybe Canelo. Maybe he can get it in with Canelo. How much he weigh? Just playing. Anything else before we get to questions?
No, we like I said, if we're on a hard time, we could just go straight to the questions, man. I always join that. That seems to be where we get even more information. So.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, King P.
What's going on, Jake?
Hey, what's up?
Very much. So I wanted to know if you had heard anything on the Subriel Matias front, because I read something here that he was scheduled to fight Jeremias Ponce on February 11th in Minnesota. I don't know fucking why Minnesota, but I wanted to know if you could confirm or deny.
Hold on. First of all, y'all gonna have to start putting some respect on Minnesota name. I had a ball in Minneapolis. Very beautiful city. Very, very nice people. That's why they call it Minnesota nice.
It is cold in February.
I was gonna say, you had a ball. You had a ball in June. Minnesota in February is fucking is brutal. So I heard the same thing. As far as I'm concerned, like from the people who would normally give me this information, it's pretty good confirmation that that's the date. But I asked Showtime, I asked TGB, I asked PBC about it. They're like, oh yeah, we got a full, schedule. Then I asked about that fight. They're like, oh, we haven't heard anything. I'm like, how could you have dates all the way out to April and Subriel Matias' name is not on there? So I'm sticking with that's the date we're getting, unless they just start mixing up everything again. Because they do, sometimes they will, like, especially with Matias' team, they will tell them certain things just to see if they'll leak it to like the Puerto Rican media, which has happened several times. So, sometimes they'll do that just to flush out a source. But everything I've heard is that February 11th, which it's weird because it is Super Bowl weekend. So obviously, the Super Bowl is here. So, but
well, the Vikings ain't going to the Super Bowl, so it has something to do up there.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously they're going to draw the same kind of crowd no matter who fights there. But it just seemed like a weird location. So that would have been a fun fight here, on Super Bowl weekend. But yeah, the February 11th in Minneapolis is exactly what I've heard. And I have a story written waiting to release it, but nobody will give me confirmation among the people who need to confirm it for me. So.
Okay. All right, go ahead, JBZ.
Yeah, in reference to that, it's gotta lean towards that because talking with Salida is not going to be Shojan Ergachev because he said that they're going to, find someone else for Ergachev to fight to kind of like keep him around that ranking. So there's that. Right. But I'm pretty much asking questions about the Jake Donovan tour. So, you're over there in Arizona. So where's the tour going to be in the next couple of weeks? You're going to be out in New York next week and Vegas the week after or something?
No, I'm not. No, Keith Heidig he lives out there, so he's going to be covering the Teofimo card. I was going to originally think about going to Omaha, but I'm just going to be at home. And then the fact that you don't have to go through the website to order the pay-per-view, I can order it, giving my credit card information with comfort instead of to some sketch website that, God knows what they'll do with it. I'm trying to go to the WBA convention after that, which is all the more reason why I didn't want to go to Omaha. So I might actually fly into Orlando next weekend, like next Saturday, just watch the fight from a hotel or with family or whatever, and then head to the convention after that.
So WBA convention is in Orlando and it starts Monday?
Yeah, December 11th. It starts Sunday. It starts Sunday with a fight card, and then it goes to the convention the 12th through the 14th. So I think the ratings portion of it will be the 13th.
Okay.
Which same day is in a way when he becomes undisputed champion.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Mel.
Lefty, Jake, what's going on, you guys? How y'all doing?
What's up? I don't have any Rashidi listeners.
Oh no, it's not about that.
I just want to get that out the way.
Trust me, I might have an idea sometime this week. I'll let y'all know.
I was gonna say you're gonna be telling us at this point.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, what's up, man?
But is there any word on who the greatest middleweight since Bernard Hopkins could be fighting? And I'm talking about Jamal Charlo, not that old dude Triple G.
So I know he said that he's coming back in February. I got to see where that falls into the calendar. Again, there's just certain things that are up in the air. I'm not getting a straight answer. I'm hoping. This is blind optimism. I've just been burned so many times where I can't believe it's going to happen. But I really do hope that, with this Munguia mess, it winds up that somehow they pull back the contract that they had on the table and we get Charlo Munguia. I don't see that being the case. So I don't know if they still owe Selechki the fight, but maybe they get, Charlo in the ring once and then he looks to the Plant Benavidez winner after that.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
I think I have an odd feeling he's going to end up on the co-main for Spence's next fight. I just got an odd feeling about that.
Yeah, I could definitely see that as well. So because they got to, like I said, they're going to have a bunch of pay-per-view dates and they really got to fill up those cards. So
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Isan.
Jake, Lefty, what's going on?
Yeah, what's going on?
I just had a question about 115. So unification in December with Ioka and Franco. Yeah. Does obviously Junto moved up, so he's highly ranked in the BO, likely to get a shot next year. But is there a chance that a unification between the Estrada Chaco winner and the Ioka Franco winner early next year? If they can they possible for an exemption to unify or just straight to Ioka for the winner?
Yeah, I asked both guys about that fight. Chocolatito just gave, he said he has, probably a couple of years left in him. He would love to just leave as undisputed. He keeps teasing whether or not he would go on for a 5th divisional title. I don't think he's gonna. I think he's just gonna. He seems, pretty well established in 115. So he doesn't mention names. He didn't say that he would want to fight Ioka. Estrada was blunt. He said he wanted to fight the Ioka Franco winner. He's dead set. He unified against Chocolatito regardless of what he thought of the decision. And that's his goal to, now that the WBC belt is back at stake, that's he wants to become unified champion and then undisputed champion. So he wants those to be his next 2 fights. So to answer your question, if Estrada wins tonight, I could absolutely see his team putting in motion the moment Ioka Franco winner is decided that they're already contacting WBO saying, let us, or I guess, the winner of that would have to. But he wants to put his name in and say, let us fight the winner of that fight before Junto gets a shot. And then maybe promise to fight Junto after that.
That's a great lineup because I know with the Ioka and Chaco, that's if they both win, that's like a perfect, they've had history for years now, that fight.
And I will say this too: if Chocolatito wins, it kind of works in favor of whether or not Junto jumps the line because he is first. But Mr. Honda would have a say in whether he gets the winner of Ioka Franco or if Chocolatito says, I want the winner. They tell Junto, well, you're going to take another fight. Let our guy, go for undisputed first. Well, not undisputed, but for 3 belts.
Sweet. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and Estrada, one thing positive too, he didn't, it's not like politics or whatever. He bluntly mentioned he wanted to fight Puma Martinez as well. I know he has a mandatory coming up, but he wants to fight every champion. He wasn't vague about it. He mentioned all those guys by name, saying those guys are on my hit list in 2023.
I mean, he probably doesn't have much time left. That's probably why he was like, I'm gonna get the ball rolling.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Corey, and then after Corey, anybody else who want to ask a question, request? I'm pretty sure some people came in late and want to ask questions that we already covered, but go ahead and request anyway. Go ahead, Corey.
What's up, Corey?
Hey, what's up, fellas? Man, a week out, is there any indications that this Crawford fight doesn't happen? Or are they still going to go through with this?
So there's people here who are involved in that event. We were joking about that. Yes, it's going to go through. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't think anybody knows what it's going to look like. So it could be a complete shit show, but I even said, even if it's a shit show, as long as it's a show, that's, that's the start. They finally have something to build on at least. I don't think it's going to be one and done, but I do believe, the show is going to happen next week, and indication that they're canceling that show, and there is
hold on, you breaking up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Jake,
okay.
Jake, you breaking up. Yeah, the last part we heard, you said that the show is going to go on, and then
yes,
that was the last part we heard.
Okay, yeah. So the show is going forward. Avanesian is there. They were asking, when is he going to get there? He is already en route if he's not there already. So the show's moving forward.
He already in the U.S. He landed like 2 days ago in the U.S.
Yes, exactly. Because I know people were asking about that. But yeah, he is there. So the show is happening. And it's all, again, to preface, it's not just through the website. They announced that, In Demand is you could order through TV. So
thanks, man.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. All right, Ezra.
Is Donaire Maloney likely next, or will Donaire go another route?
So we'll get more information on that once the WBA convention comes up, because Donaire just jumped up in the WBA rankings. He's right behind Takuma. And I know Naoya always said that once he becomes undisputed, he wanted to leave his brother in a situation where he could immediately fight for a title. So it's going to be weird if the WBA tries to order like a mandatory, because it's weird. They have the number one position empty. And then it's Takuma 2 and Nonito 3, or maybe the other way around. I'm pretty sure it's that order, though. So we could see him fighting for that vacant title instead. But the Maloney one is still in negotiation. But both of them, they seem to think it's good money for either one of those fights. And in my opinion, Takuma would be is the considerably lower risk fight in that. So he's definitely fighting for a bantamweight title next. It's just going to be whether it's Maloney or Takuma.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, he's actually going to be out here tonight too, so I'm going to get more out of him from that.
All right, go ahead, Asa.
Hey, what's going on, Jake?
What's up, Asa?
Hey, chilling. Hey, man, you got any news on when or what possible month we're going to get Fulton and Figueroa too?
I heard February originally, but I don't know if that's still in place. It's just, I know, assuming it winds up on Showtime, they're ready to. They're going to be announcing a lot of their fights. They have. Like I said, they had the schedule mapped out, and they want to do like another big reveal. I do believe that's going to be coming probably in the next 2 weeks, hopefully. So that fight would certainly be revealed by that point. But I kept hearing February. I just don't know if it's going to be its own main event or it's going to wind up as like a massive co-feature to one of these pay-per-views.
Appreciate it.
Yep, you got it.
Will that be for a title?
It'll be for the I think it's for the interim WBC, 126, because that's why Ray Vargas is moving up to 130. He's fighting for the, that belt. He's fighting on Shaki Foster. So I do believe they are fighting for the interim title.
126 is a mess.
Yes.
Speaking of that mess, your boy once again pulled out, and now he's trying to fight Kiko Martinez.
Oh, Lee Wood, you talking about? Yeah, I did talk to Eddie about that. That's not the language he used. He told me that he's still in talks with Louis DeCubas. He mentioned that specifically, not just PBC, but Louis specifically, that Lee Wood is fighting January. He has a January 28th date. They're trying, I guess, to get Leo Santa Cruz to go over there to fight him. And if not, then that Keiko Martinez would be, high on that list of who he would fight next. And then he badly, I guess it'd be worth it even if he had to give up the title, because he still wants to fight the winner of Josh Warrington and Luis Lopez, which that's a lot to ask for, because Lopez could fuck around and win that fight. But as far as Wood, though, like, I don't know if they're just still banking on Leo, either taking the fight or giving up the title. But they made it seem like it's still negotiation. So again, that's something we're going to get full clarity on December 12th. But
December 12th is the first bid date?
December 12th is the first bid date, correct. So, but yeah, Lee Wood is fighting January 28th in England.
And meanwhile, title with or without Leo Santa Cruz.
Correct. Yeah. But the way Eddie put it, he would, he's fine with, Lee Wood, Leo Santa Cruz as the, that he claims it's his priority, that it's the priority. But, we'll see that, he's got a date regard. And I kind of don't blame him in regards to getting Lee Wood back in the ring. It's like, he hasn't fought since the Conlon fight, and then Leo Santa Cruz hasn't fought since, I think, Keenan Carbajal. So they both have to get back in the ring. But, we'll see if the WBA sticks to their guns, because they said if those guys don't go through with the fight, then they're both going to have to give up the title. But, we'll see if that happens. But
let's see. All right, chain smoking.
TGB is going to be promoting Tank's fight against.
Hold up, you got a lot of background noise. Can you step away from where you at? Because we could barely hear you.
TGB is going to be promoting Tank's fight against Garcia. Does that preclude Mayweather Promotions? And what do you think that means for his career moving forward?
So TGB is the promoter record, but Tank, he already has GTD Promotions established. So that's going to be his move moving forward. He has a team. It's not just, Tank, putting his name on a promotional company. He actually has a full team, set to, run that company. So that will be his move going forward. So, I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago that I just, that was the closure we finally needed, that Mayweather's name has not been mentioned on any of these releases ever since we found out that Tank is fighting. So, TGB, they're pretty much the promoter record for every PBC event. So, but Tank will be taking full control of his career.
Okay. Somebody from the DM a question said, "Why aren't you reporting Prograis Zepeda numbers?"
I don't have them. That's why. I heard they would not speak. There's people here I can get a better answer out of tonight. So I know, I think it was Dan. He said that it was like somewhere 20,000, maybe less or whatever. Oh, no, I think it was Ioli actually that reported that. But they kind of scoffed at that. But usually when they do that and they don't have an answer behind it, that means that number is not far off. So I don't believe it did well. I know the crowd was miserable too. So, and we were talking about that whole mess where Prograis, Regis tweeted what he tweeted, and then that the issue got resolved. But it's a shame that all anyone's going to remember is that this promoter who we all thought was in over the head, that he bounced the check. That's all we're going to remember out of this mess. When everyone else involved, they did seem to say that, those guys were professional. It was weird that, they would, if they're an established company, why are you opening up a new bank account in order to run these checks? But that was apparently the whole
why
issue.
you didn't pay him out the same account that you paid Zepeda out of?
Yeah, well, no, see, that wasn't the issue either. That wasn't the issue. The issue was Regis is the only one, because Zepeda, once they had all the deductions, his guaranteed purse was over $1 million. But then they took out all the deductions in advance, so that dropped way down. Regis is the only one whose check was over $1 million. So, of course, that's going to raise the flag.
But I'm talking about Conwell, too.
No, I know that. Yeah, I know Conwell. Curtis Harper's check was. So, with Conwell and Curtis Harper, I was just told their checks were held, not that they bounced. So that was the issue. But the bank just started flagging checks because of suspicious activities. I don't know if it's just a matter of when they got cashed or whatever, but,
Ooh, my bad. I didn't mean to meet you.
Oh, there we go. All right, where'd you last name?
You said that Conwell and the checks just got held. It wasn't bounced.
Yeah, they were held. They didn't bounce. So obviously, it could have been just the fact when Regis cashed that $1 million check, then all of a sudden, whatever checks didn't cash at that point, the bank just, put a hard hold on it. That's common too. It's like, especially with new accounts, when you check the cash, sometimes those funds aren't released for like a week or two. So,
man, look.
All I'm going to say is, look,
because I know Chase Bank is racist, so that's probably why the Mexicans got paid and the blacks didn't, because Chase Bank is extremely racist. I talked about how racist Chase Bank has been to me when I went in there with some decent sized checks. So it's probably Chase Bank. We just knocked it up to the casual racism of Chase Bank.
Boycott Chase.
Yeah.
Do not bank with Chase if you are black.
Yeah. Oh, I got a credit union, so.
Especially if you deposit them or if you're trying to get out a lot of money. They will question you like you are in there trying to rob the bank every single time. Even with a cashier's check. They held a cashier's check that I had. How the hell you gonna hold a cashier's check?
Yeah, that's the part that's wild to me. But.
Yeah, but that's Chase Bank because they're racist.
Yeah.
Who else we got? Who else had a question?
Yeah, I think that was it. Unless someone else is gonna jump in.
Okay. Yeah. Well, next week we're supposed to be getting some announcements. Excuse me. I think from Top Rank and PBC or some fights.
Yeah.
Anything you hearing?
Yes. Yeah. Yes to both. I know Top Rank. Yeah, they just announced obviously the January 14th show, which isn't a blockbuster. We should be getting bigger news on Valdez and Navarrete when that fight is going to happen. I have a story written on where it's supposed to take place, but again, it's one of those situations. I need that final confirmation to go forward, but that should be coming within the next week. And then, like I said, PBC, they have a bunch of dates coming up, running. I believe their schedule's mapped out through April, if not May. So,
why are you waiting on confirmation? Just put it out there like Coppinger does.
I know, but that's not the way it goes. Yeah.
Just wait on the backlash.
Yeah, but sometimes you just got to respect. Look, I had encouraging news about Eidos or Ubicino. That's another story. I have banked. I can't run it because they're like, well, out of respect for. I'm like, his promoter is the one who's giving me this news. But
you said of who?
Yeah,
Ubicino Lee.
Yeah, Eidos Ubicino.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, he will be heading home. So
yeah, he posted an IG video saying he's at the hospital.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. And what about Haney versus Loma?
That is, I'm sure that's going to be among Top Rank's big announcements. But Bob seems very confident that it's going to happen. I don't have an exact date. I think April is the time frame.
I'm very confident it's going to happen too.
Yeah, and it does. I mean, now we're talking about Devin. That's 3 big events for Devin Haney in 10 months.
Yeah.
So, going from email champ to this guy is absolute the fucking boss at 135.
And that will probably most likely be at MSG, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's doable.
Yeah.
MSG in February is doable.
No, I think April is the time frame.
Huh?
I think April's the time frame. Valdez and Navarrete. I believe they're looking at February. Yeah. So, yeah, that's that's huge for Devin Haney. I mean, like he always had this vision, and he's the one that stuck to his guns. So, good for him. Because I think he's gonna really. I'm not gonna say embarrass Lomachenko, but it's a fight that he's always had on his radar, and for very good reason. So.
Yeah, Lomachenko probably should have took him when he was trying to get him the first time.
Yeah,
but he was still a lot more gritty. He's gotten a lot better.
Yeah,
and a lot more experience. That's what happens though, man. Sometimes you got to get these guys out of here early, or they come back and bite you.
Yeah, and again, it's the more people that get involved, the more reason why these fights don't happen. But yeah, that fight easily could have. Yeah, well, it is a much bigger fight though, so it's good that it's worked out this way because Devin's he's fighting for high 7-figure payday at this point instead of whatever Top Rank would have paid him to get in the ring. So, and I'm sure he would have taken just about anything at that point, back then.
I mean, that was back when DAZN was spending money like a drunken sailor, so they probably could have paid a lot of money to get him in there. Boxing Marshy, go ahead. Did he drop down?
I didn't even see it come in.
Yeah, he came. He was in for a second. Hey, I was watching his YouTube videos on Fight Hype. This dude is calling out Boots. Harold Calderon. You've heard of him?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Yeah, my God.
I didn't know he was 35 years old. I was like, oh, cool. Somebody want to fight Boots.
Yeah, he was he's based out of Miami, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about him a long, long time ago. He's just one of those guys that completely disappeared. So, Boots. I mean, he should have an opponent lined up. So it's not like he's hurting on that front. But yeah,
he said he went to Golden Boy and he said that Golden Boy didn't want nothing to do with him. They fighters didn't want nothing to do with him. They was ducking that smoke.
I don't know about that. He, we talk about Rashid. He can go fight Rashidi Ellis. I mean, that's if you're looking for a fight.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good way to build. Not that Boots is like at this elite level, but he is pretty much. He's recognized like him and Virgil. They're both the top welterweight contenders. Like it's a fight where he can't fight someone like Harold Calderon, who's not on anyone's radar. So he's going to need a fight to get on that radar. So I think that'd be a perfect fight. Like last week we talked about, who's Kenneth Sims fighting, who's Elvis Rodriguez fighting. It's like, well, why aren't they fighting each other?
Okay. Now, a question.
I mean, I'm sorry. Kenneth Sims and Brandon Lee. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Next week after Tio beats
Sandor Martin.
Sandor Martin, are we to expect Tio versus Earl Spence Jr. like his father said?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Maybe Top Rank and Errol, they join union with this Crawford fallout, and they start mixing them action. But no, I do not see that next. I think Teofimo's going to wait out the. I know that the winner of that is supposed to wait for. I guess Ramirez is supposed to fight Prograis, and then the winner of Teofimo and Sandor Martin is the next WBC contender. I still believe Teofimo is going to look at the We'll look at Josh Taylor if Josh Taylor beats Jack Catterall.
You think Ramirez is going to try to fight Regis?
It sounds. I was skeptical about it, but Rick keeps making noise that the fight's going to happen next. So, but Regis' manager is here. That's a question that I'll remind him to answer me about today. So
ask Regis' manager about it.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely.
I want to know about this.
Yeah.
Because I think Ramirez is going to take a tune-up. And if Ramirez took a tune-up, who would be next in line for it? Would he be free of his would Regis be free of his mandatory obligation?
Yeah. The WBC would then have to decide it. If Ramirez doesn't take it, then they would have to, Teo and Sandor Martin would be next in line. So I guess they would try to maybe make them the next mandatory. But
yeah, because AB said he coming for Regis. So Ramirez, but you might have to get in line.
Yeah, Regis wanted that fight. While he was with PBC, he begged for that. Not begged. Well, yeah, he did beg for that fight. He was all the way ready to fight AB. So
he gonna get what he want, but he ain't gonna want what he get when AB comes in there. Yeah. Okay, be careful what you ask for out there.
Yeah. And again, Regis' manager is involved with BLK Prime. He's really been the only voice so far of BLK Prime. So
that's true.
That's not a bad option at all.
That's true.
Yeah,
the big Broner versus
BLK Prime. Yeah,
BLK Prime. Broner versus.
Why not? Hey, he has been on every other platform. Why not? That should be his next move,
including Triller.
Like the natural evolution.
Regis was even on Triller.
Yeah, he's been on every one of them. God damn.
Showtime, ESPN, The Zone.
Showtime, even Showtime After Dark, right? I mean, Showtime, the one that come on Friday, right?
Oh, Showbox, yeah. That was the beginning. Yep. Yeah, he was there. He was on ESPN when he thought he was going to get Ramirez. Then he was on The Zone with the.
That's a fight that should have been happening, really. Ramirez and Regis.
Yeah, and that was the reason why he wanted to fight on Top Rank cards. Yep.
Yeah, this is the circular block, another spin the block fight.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but yeah, BLK, that's the only platform so far left that he hasn't fought on.
I don't know. I see a lot of these guys claim to be the boogeyman, but let's see if these tough guys really go after Regis, because 140 is
wait, hold on a second. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, can you come back in like 30 minutes? Okay, great. Thank you.
Hey, you a couple doors down for me, Jake.
Yeah. Oh, no way.
Jake, you got to schedule that for after.
Nah, it was room term. Stop it. Told the hook at 10 p.m., not 10 a.m. Oh man, but that's serious. Like I said, if AB is serious about wanting to fight Regis, that's an easy fight to make. So Sam can easily line that up for him.
Okay, well, if AB say he want to do, he ain't never ducked no smoke. But okay, so what is T.O.'s next move if he wins? Is he trying to wait on that Josh Taylor? Or
that's what I keep thinking, that he's good. Yeah, but now it sounds like that fight might get pushed back, because I thought it was supposed to happen February 4th. I don't know if that's going to be the case anymore. But
hold up, Josh Taylor and Catterall?
Yeah, I thought it was supposed to be February 4th, but I have yet to confirm it. Someone there was a rumor that it might get pushed back.
Oh,
I don't know. Look, I don't know. I hope it's a false rumor, because it didn't sound. I was surprised when I heard that, because even talking to people here who know what's going on with Top Rank, they all seem to believe it was happening that weekend too. So, because that was their plan, was to have Valdez Navarrete on a Friday night and then Josh Taylor Catterall on Saturday night, and it would be a split squad. Some would be in the U.S. and the rest would be in the UK. So, and that's as of Thursday, that was the plan. That's what surprised me when I heard that it could get pushed back. Hopefully, Bob just had one too many edibles and told the wrong reporter that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Corey.
Hey, does AB's premiere on BLK Prime depend on how well or how bad Crawford's first fight does? Or does he already have money set to the side for him?
He seems to believe that he's going to be making this big drop on December 10th, that he's going to have his let the world know what's going on with his next move, and that it's already in motion. So,
okay. Basically, he's going to announce his next fight date.
Yes.
What about opponent?
Yeah, he claims he's going to have this big announcement next week. Everyone needs to tune in. I don't know if he's just trying to sell the pay-per-view and he's just going to show up and say some bullshit, but he claims everything's going to be said. Again, that's information I could try to extract.
Did you see him on his interview with Blue Blood yesterday?
Mm-mm.
You didn't?
I did not concede. No, I did not concede. I've been, man, I've barely been sitting down.
He said he believes Spence versus Crawford is gonna happen. He said, and it's likely gonna happen on BLK Prime.
I don't see that happening.
I mean, that's what AB said.
Yeah. I mean, he has all the reason in the world to. I don't see why Spence would go that route.
Okay.
The only thing I will say about this event, the ticket sales had been legit. I know people were joking about, they wound up on eBay and Groupon, but they sold a show. They've sold more tickets for this than any other Crawford fight in Omaha.
Yeah, I mean, because everybody puts their ticket on Groupon on the secondary market, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I actually spoke to Bud earlier in the week, and he even mentioned too that he knows he can't just keep fighting. He's not going to fight like in Omaha 3-4 times in a row. That this is the first one in 4 years, so a lot of people are motivated about that. Plus, everyone's home for the holidays. It's Christmas time. People around his way, they're not going anywhere. So he feels like it's kind of, in that sense, it's been a perfect storm of why it's had such a great turnout.
Yeah. So Broner, he also talked about Tank and Devin Haney sparring session. Did you hear about that?
I just heard them going back and forth about it. But
yeah, I want to see him, now. I want to see him fight for real. If Devin is successful beating Loma, and Tank is successful beating the Garcias, is there any possibility that fight could happen later this year? Any possibility?
I mean, I mean, again, Tank, Haney, it's like we keep asking, like, if he's on borrowed time at 135. If these fights are on the table, he's going to stick around as long as it takes to make these fights happen. So he won't be the problem in that equation. Now, I don't know if Top Rank would get in the way with that, but that's, especially if he beats Ryan Garcia, which, I'm sure a lot of people on here are expecting to be the case. That's a massive fight for, the end of the year.
I mean, but you said at 135, he's fighting Garcia at 136. Maybe they could come to 137, something.
Tank is fighting Garcia at 136 because that's, where the fight needed to happen. I don't think that's a Tank demand. So, I mean, again, if he's giving them that concession, well, then, you got to think, why would he give them any that concession? So I know Tank says he doesn't necessarily care about being undisputed champ, but why not take it if it's there? And especially if you know that Devin Haney, if he's, on borrowed time at 135. Why not make him weigh as light as possible?
Yeah.
Go ahead, JB.
Now, on the Haney thing, I'd like to know what his situation is going to be after that Loma fight, if he's still, under contract with Top Rank or not.
I've heard so much conflict. I believe that he does have one more fight after that. I don't believe that's correct. Yeah.
Look, good business practices would be not to let a guy leave you with all 4 belts in the lightweight division when you're trying to get Shakur Stevenson one of those belts.
Exactly.
At least let him vacate.
Right.
So, I think that's it. All right. Anybody else got anything? Yep. Go ahead, A-Side.
Truth, you had something? Hey, so Jake, I heard that Bomac not going to be going with Terrence to the.
No, that's false. That is a false. Somebody on YouTube started that rumor. That's false.
He's 100% in Omaha, and that's the reason why Keyshawn Davis has been training with Al Mitchell for this fight.
Okay.
Yeah. I have no idea. Well, I do know where that rumor came from. People just ran with it. I'm telling you, YouTube is a motherfucker, boy.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Y'all got anything else?
Because joint for press conference coming up Monday, so I'll be out there for that. Nice. And then afterwards, I guess we'll see if the card's going to be solidified, because they got a couple of fights that will be on there, but there's like others that are possibles that have to be solidified within the week. So,
right.
Okay. Jake, have you who all have you seen out there?
So Cliff is out here. We went out last night.
Who?
Cliff rolled.
Oh, what up? Yeah, I see Cliff down there.
Yeah, he's on there. Yes, he actually drove us to Phoenix. We all met up for us.
So you there, Cliff there, Trill there, J-Ro there, Emily lives there.
Yep.
Raging Babe is there.
She won't be here tonight.
Yeah. Boxio is there. Everybody is there. What, y'all not hanging out tonight?
This was news to me. I mean, I knew J-Ro was here, but I haven't seen him yet. So, yeah, we all need to hook up tonight.
I think Gritty there too, right? Is Gritty there?
Yeah. I've not seen Emily yet, though. I've not seen her out here.
I don't think Gritty's here. I think Gritty's going to the card in Vegas on the 17th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, the whole crew is there. Y'all need to hook up.
Yeah.
And go off his, well, J-Ro don't drink, so he could be our designated driver. So y'all can go off for drinks.
Yeah, no doubt.
Go ahead, Telly.
Hey, what's up, fellas, man? Good to hear from y'all again. What's up, Jake?
What's up?
Hey.
Yeah, I can tell you from DC.
Yeah, you already know, heavy accent over here.
Yeah, y'all be screaming when y'all talk.
Hey. Let me back up a little bit. Hey, yeah, look, I'm gonna ask you, man, about that Australian referee, man, that came out and said what he said, man, about the sport, about Pacquiao and all that, man. Like, is there any like damage control being done? I mean, a lot of fans starting to talk about it. I mean, we always felt as though that, you know, the game was somewhat rigged a little bit, to be honest with you. So, I mean, like, what you guys think about that?
Yeah.
Is it any like thing going on behind the scenes to kind of like, you know, like, I don't know, I guess damage control possibly?
I will say the damage control has already begun, because the moment Carlos Padilla came out with that, his daughter released a statement to, I received it. I think she sent it out to a few other reporters claiming, you know, she went throughout that language. It's that English is a second language, that, you know, he was misunderstood, that he didn't, you know, he would never do anything to damage his integrity. Mauricio even said the same thing, that the WBC is looking into it, but that, you know, then he prefaced that he's known Carlos Padilla forever. He's an honorable man. So I don't know what's going to come of that, but that was a wild story to hear.
Yeah, you know, Mauricio always going to do damage control.
Exactly.
He feels accountable to nobody. Is he out there?
No, he is not. He is in England with Tyson Fury.
I would love to interview him.
I haven't seen Eddie. I thought Nancy would be here for the WBC fight, but I haven't seen a WBC rep yet.
You thought who would be there?
Nancy Rodriguez.
I'm not familiar with her.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's the one. Well, her most identifiable feature is she's always in high heels, no matter what event she's at. So, pantsuit and high heels, or a dress and high heels. Yep.
Boxing Vibe. Somebody said, didn't Crowley have a shot at the IBF after beating Akbar? No, he didn't.
No.
It became that mandatory spot.
That was so weird. I never understood why that fight was not preserved, because Kujatil, he was the mandatory at that point. So when you take a fight like that, like, why not preserve, especially for Cody Crowley, because, you know, he beat him, and he's the type of guy, not that he's necessarily unbeatable, but he's not the type of guy anyone's going to race the fight. So
true.
He left himself really unprotected with that one.
Yeah, but it was an eliminator. He just figured he'd beat it. He'd beat him and move on to the mandatory spot.
Yeah, exactly. But the IBF did not agree. And then I know for a while his name was mentioned as when Spence Crawford was supposed to happen. He was supposed to fight Stanionis, but that obviously never came into play. And yeah, now he has no path right now.
Right, well,
maybe he fights Rashidi Ellis.
We're big Stanionis fans over here because he's about to fight Virgil and get
absolutely
and get put up out of there so Virgil and Spence can fight 100,000 in Cowboy Stadium. But I guess that's about it. Anybody else got anything before we get out of here? Going once, going twice. Jake, Trill, everybody else, safe travels. Hopefully y'all have fun at the fight tonight. Make it home safe.
Yeah, I'll see everybody else later on tonight.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Trill, you seriously right next door to me?
Yeah, man. I'm a DM you, man. I ain't gonna say my room number.
No, of course.
Man, ain't nobody come to see you get your ass.
Hey, man.
What you think somebody gonna do?
Hey, they can walk over there. They gonna live back.
Knock on your door. Ain't nobody in Arizona. I mean, you been there. You just raised the black population 2%, Trill.
Hey, man, it's bound to happen. Yep. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't seen not a damn nigga since I've been here.
I think they on the north. What side of town is that on? I think they on not the north side, probably the west or the south side. I don't know. I know it's a what you call those places where the veterans congregate? VFW Hall, the VFW Hall.
Right, yeah.
Because I remember I was in Phoenix. My cousin was out there. They, you know, black people, they be throwing little get-togethers at the VFW Hall, and that was wherever that VFW Hall is. That's the black side of town. And gotcha. We went out there and hung out with them, whatever. The other thing, them niggas started shooting. I'm like, God damn it, can't get away from this shit. But anyway, y'all have a a good time and have
well, I
fun.
said we're going to
have
help
safe
raise the
travels.
Puerto Rican population out here because we are pretty much set on
Non-existent.